So I'm pretty frustrated this morning. I woke up to a notification from YouTube saying that they were going to remove one of my videos because it violated community guidelines. And there's no real clear definition of what community guidelines are, and there's no real recourse you can take for this. There's no accountability on their end, and that's what's the most frustrating part, I think, about this. I'm such a huge advocate of free speech and not censoring ideas that conflict with what you wish to be true. And I think that, throughout history, if we look, the people who have censored free speech have always been the bad guys. And it's just mind-numbingly frustrating to see what's going on currently with everything that's happened over the past couple of years, and it all has to do with power and control. Forget the politics, forget, which they've weaponized, by the way, 100%. They'll use any division tactic they can to keep us from realizing that we all have the same common interests. We all basically want to raise our families, make good memories, utilize our skills and our gifts and talents, and be happy. We all want to feel purposeful, have a meaningful life, and be happy and enjoy our loved ones, right? And, they've weaponized all this bullshit to keep us separate, to keep us under the illusion that we're fighting amongst each other. In reality, we need to be fighting them. And when you look at, what they've done, they've demonized free speech. Anybody who speaks the truth is now considered a dissident. Anybody who considers... anybody who thinks for themselves and considers the bigger picture here is now considered a potential domestic terrorist. It's just beyond fucking bewildering to me. I've worked for, years to build up my YouTube page, and I'm this close to monetizing it. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. It's countless hours of content and work have gone into, and money, time and money, have gone into putting this together and building something up organically. I don't buy followers, I don't buy subscribers, and everything I have is just from my brain, and my time. And just to do something like that and then have somebody thoughtlessly come in and just poof like that decide that because you're violating community guidelines, and there are no real tangible guidelines that you can actually follow. So when this happens, they tell you you're violating community guidelines, so you go in and you're like, okay, well, what are the community guidelines? And they just repeat, to a mind-numbing degree, they just repeat community guidelines. That's it. Okay, but what are they? Community guidelines. Yeah, but what are they? Community guidelines. And it's sometimes it's a bot, and sometimes it's just a person, usually a young liberal with bangs cut up to here, face full of piercings and tattoos, braiding their armpit hair, who just comes on and looks at my page and is like, oh, Trump supporter, yeah, banned community guidelines, she's violating our danger to society. Little old me, Adrian Rose, public enemy #1, singing songs from the 1920s and talking about how you just need sunlight and air to live. I cannot believe how much they've weaponized this bullshit to this degree that people are still following this ridiculous and, quite frankly, dangerous information that they've been given. Look at how they've weaponized people's egos and power trips and people just want to have control. So they've given this authority over people who would never have authority in their entire lives, and they're just enjoying it. You've got 16-year-old girls in coffee shops and people making 20 grand a year as, interns out of college who now have this ultimate authority over the whole world. Flight attendants could come and tell me that I couldn't breathe on an airplane. I had to cover my face with toxic, cancer-causing microplastic fibers, that I couldn't breathe air. It just, over a silly flu that can be cured with sunlight, body movement, hydration, proper nutrition. Yep, natural immunity. It's amazing what they've been able to do just by manipulating people's fear. I can't believe we're here in America. I can't believe what we've succumbed to. And it really is just a lack of education. And it all goes back to like them versus us. Like forget party lines, okay? Like fuck the fucking dichotomy of like Republican and, you know, Democrat paradigm. Like that's what they want you to buy into. It's this illusion that like we are on separate sides. Like I'm not a Republican, I'm not a conservative. I'm just a human being who thinks that truth is important and freedom is important. And that's all. Like there's the left who wants to have control and authority over everybody, and then there's everyone else who wants to be left the fuck alone. And I feel like so many people started off like, you guys ever see Mel Gibson in The Patriot in the beginning where he just wants to live his life peacefully, and then by the end he's like a savage beast just painting his face with blood? Like I feel like that's my spirit animal. I know so many people feel that way, but all we really want is less government. And that is why we need less government, because it's been proven. Look at all the Twitter files that got dropped by Elon. Like it's been proven that there is government collusion with all of these big streaming platforms, all of these tech platforms, and they were able to come in and manipulate the people through like fear campaigns. They were able to manipulate the media and believing that like your body doesn't have natural immunity when it does. And you were all so swayed. Most people were swayed by fucking donuts and bags of French fries that you were willing to inject poison into your veins, which, by the way, let me know if any of you out there have figured out yet what the mRNA jab does. Okay? The secret is in our DNA. Once people figure out what our DNA is and what it does and why it was so important for them to inject this gene therapy into your DNA, once you guys figure that out, you'll understand everything. Everything will make sense, I promise. I cannot like participate. I just don't have the will to participate in a society that is just so sick, stupid, and brainwashed and poisoned and enslaved. Like, I cannot deal with the Muggles any longer. I don't have the patience or the tolerance for it. And quite frankly, I don't know why I always feel like I'm working so hard to wake people up when they don't want to be woken up. They're perfectly happy doing whatever they're doing. You know, as long as you give people internet porn and McDonald's and video games, they don't fucking want the truth. They don't want knowledge. They don't want enlightenment, and they don't want freedom. Like, there's a saying that bees don't waste their time explaining to flies why honey's better than shit. And I constantly feel like I live in that world where I'm always trying to explain to people why honey's better than shit. Like, freedom is better than emotional slavery. And they've got you convinced, big government has you convinced that if you sacrifice just a little bit of your safety or your freedom for safety under the guise of safety, that you'll never have any more problems, that the government's going to come in and just tickle your nipples every day, and you're going to have total safety and you're never going to have to think anymore. Like, yay, I hate thinking. Whee! Let's let the government make all our decisions. It just... I don't know what to say anymore about it. I'm just, quite frankly, just terrified for the state of, like, humanity. I don't know if we're going to be able to survive as a species. We really are heading into a version of the Matrix where everybody just wants to be enslaved and they no longer want autonomy over anything. They don't want to have decisions. And, I mean, look at... throughout history, just even in the past 100 years, what they've done with our dollar, with our taxes, which, by the way, it's not a law that you have to pay taxes. It was never ratified. Let me know what level of conspiracy theorist you are, by the way. Do you think they sunk the Titanic because those 3 bankers were on it who were opposing the 16th Amendment? Let me know. Let me know what level of conspiracy theorist you are. Because there's only been 3 presidents who have ever tried to end the Federal Reserve, abolish the Federal Reserve, and guess what? They were all assassinated. So there's that. They poison our food. They poison our water supply. They keep us stupid. They keep us disconnected from our true self, from our God self. You know, they put fluoride in the water, which calcifies your pineal gland, your third eye, which disconnects you from your God self, your higher self. The jab erases God's name from your DNA. It erases God's seal over his creation, our DNA, from the scroll of our DNA, which is encoded with all the secrets of the universe. Everything you need is in our locked DNA. And once you access that, that's like where you can literally walk into other dimensions and shit. I mean, it's fucking amazing. Like, human beings are so absolutely beautiful and magnanimous, and they've brainwashed us into forgetting like how powerful and insanely beautiful we really are. Instead, you guys are selling your souls for a fucking bag of donuts. And I'm over here just trying to sing songs about like the moon and make people feel loved and wake people up, and I'm being censored. And I know I'm just a small fish, so like I don't really feel like I'm that significant, but you know, like you have people like Joe Rogan, they're always trying to cancel all of these people who speak the truth or stand up for the truth, or at least have a platform where we can discuss ideas. I'm not saying that everyone's ideas are accurate, truthful, 100% correct, but we need to be able to discuss information. And you have people like Joe Rogan, you know, he's got a $200 million contract with Spotify, so they're not going to cancel him. But you have these rainbow-haired freaks who are like, I hate truth, and I want to cancel and have power over anyone who tries to discuss truth. And look, like this video that got flagged, which I appealed and won, somehow I have no idea why they reinstated my video, because I did talk shit about but like I was correct. I was correct. Everything I said turned out to be true. How is that possible? I'm not psychic. I couldn't see into the future. So how is that possible that I made a video 3 years ago, and accurately predicted that it wasn't going to be safe or effective? Why was I able to ascertain that with little to no information? Well, because I'll tell you why. Our government has a history of not being trustworthy. That's why. I don't just blindly trust people. I understand patterns. That's how my brain works to pick up information. So I view patterns. And I believe patterns, not promises. This can go for relationships in your personal life too. Believe patterns, not promises. And there's two kinds of people right now in our world. People who know history, or people who trust the government. You can't do both. You guys remember that one time in history when the government came and gave a bunch of black people syphilis and told them they're giving them penicillin shots? Like, I believe patterns throughout human history. As long as governments are able to have complete arbitrary authority over you, they absolutely will become corrupt. Big government always becomes corrupt. The people who are paying attention, it's not left versus right. The people who are on the right and tend to be more conservative or libertarian, though, they want less government. That's the only difference. We want less government. Everybody else wants all government. So they would like all of their free will to be taken away. So the government, the murderous, rampant, egotistical, maniacal, all-knowing, authoritative government, they want them to tell everyone what to do. I don't want to make decisions anymore. I hate thinking. It doesn't make sense to me. So somehow this morning, my YouTube video, I appealed it and it got reinstated, but like, it's just exhausting. Like during the flu thing that we just had for the past 3 years, I had my Facebook platform. I was deplatformed from Facebook, and I only had like a couple thousand subscribers, but still, you know, like that was my way of advertising myself as a small business. And it was something that I had built from nothing. Like everything that I am in life, I've built from nothing. Like I don't come from money. I don't come from, you know, like powerful family. Like it's just me. It's always been just me. That's why America is so amazing, because you can come here and pursue the American dream. You can start from nothing and work your way up. There's no caste system here. There's no like class society status you can't breach through if you have a dream and the willpower to make that dream come true. And I'm literally living the American dream, or trying to anyway. And it just, it's so frustrating and kind of takes, you know, the wind out of your sails. It's definitely like a wet blanket on your dreams when like you can just speak one sentence and have basically your entire everything you've worked for just wiped clean, just taken away like poof in the blink of an eye. That's why I think it's more important than ever for people to stand up for the truth. You can't allow people to censor you. You can't allow people to silence the truth. We need to stand up for truth in our society. If a society that's not based in truth is going to crumble, and it's terrifying what's happening. A lot of people believe that the West is already crumbling. A lot of people who have money are already moving to Dubai. People are moving out of our country. Like London, everybody says London is failing. Like people say that America is already doomed for collapse. It certainly looks that way economically, socioeconomically. If you look at all the different demographics, like they're kind of just caving in on themselves and imploding. And I think that that's a direct result of all of the class warfare and the race warfare that the elites in power have done by design to cripple us. And it's working because most people don't think for themselves. We need a return. Our only hope is to embrace one another with love, as long as that takes, and as frustrating as that is, because like when somebody is deliberately trying to attack you and strip away your livelihood because they don't like the way you think, like that's what like the left will never understand. They always bitch and screech about diversity and inclusion, but what they mean is looks. They're talking about looks and sex. They're not talking about thought, which is the most important thing to have diversity. They don't want diversity of thought. They want you to look the way that they look. They want you to think the way that they think. It's always fucking about diversity and inclusion, unless you think differently than they do. Like, I may not like what you say, but I will fight for your right to say it. I don't know if it was Thomas Paine who said that. I think he was quoting Voltaire, but I may not like what you say, but I will fucking fight like hell for your right to say it. We need to preserve free speech. We also need to preserve the Second Amendment, because that is what backs up free speech. And every single time throughout human history that the populace has been disarmed, mass genocide follows. And it looks like that's where we're headed as a country. Scary times. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this.